When discussing harmony in our episodes, I occasionally mention something called the Neapolitan chord. It has a unique sound. I'd like to spend a few minutes examining it. Here's an example. We're in E minor. Okay, the Neapolitan is usually found in music in a minor key, as we see here. I should say as we hear here. Okay, we're in E minor. Here's the Neapolitan. This is rather dark, somewhat ominous, okay? Here's the same passage without the Neapolitan, with the regular harmony we would expect. With the Neapolitan, it's called Neapolitan because the use of this chord has been attributed to Baroque composers from around the region of Naples, dishing out colorful harmonies with ice cream on top or something like that. I don't know. But composers throughout Italy used it. And in vocal music, the Neapolitan was usually used specifically on words that affected sadness or pain or emotional pangs or whatever. But technically, it's very easy to demonstrate. If you take the tonic chord of the key that you're in, let's say C minor in this case, here's C, you simply move up 1/2 step from C to D flat, and you use the major chord of D flat. Okay, so it sounds like C minor, D flat major, G7, and C minor. So that's the Neapolitan progression. Here in Mozart's opera, his great opera, The Magic Flute, we're in G minor, and the Princess Pamina laments when she thinks she's been abandoned by her hero, Tamino. So the Neapolitan chord, you're in G minor, you just go up 1/2 step to A flat. And there it is. And Pamina sings, here it is. The Neapolitan chord, so distinctive. And Mozart saves it until near the end of this mournful aria. Pamina is singing the words, So wird Ruhe in Tode sein, that peace will come in death only. Wird Ruhe, or rest or peace. And even though the Neapolitan progression originated in the early Baroque era, it really came into its own, not surprisingly, during the Romantic era. Here are two famous piano works. We all know these. They use the Neapolitan chord. One is a sonata by Beethoven. Here it comes. It's very alluring. And the other is a prelude by Chopin. Here it is. It has darkness and majesty to it. All of these examples are in slow, somber tempos. But decades earlier, Mozart would use the Neapolitan chord in what sounds like a medieval dance of death in the finale of his great piano concerto number 24 from 1786. The finale is a set of variations on a rather shadowy march tune. But in the final variation, Mozart shifts into a quick 6/8, a triple meter, still in C minor, but using the Neapolitan chord of D flat major to create these spectral waves of sound. This concerto is perhaps the true beginning of the Romantic era in music. And once again, all of these examples have been in the minor key, which is predisposed to harmonies that are dark and ominous. But the Neapolitan progression does pop up in music in a major key, but much less frequently. When I was a student at the Cleveland Institute of Music, yes, most of my classmates there were not music theory people like I was. They were instrumentalists who were required to take the theory courses. But there was a theory harmony teacher, I recall, who seemed to get a kick out of assigning us to go out and find an example of a Neapolitan chord used in a major key. Okay, and I could only think of one example, and I was supposed to be a theory brainiac. Okay, these other students had no time to spend hours in the library on a musical scavenger hunt, so I was only too happy to help them out. I could have set up a business, I suppose, Neapolitan chords while you wait, but I didn't. I said to these other colleagues of mine, there's one Neapolitan in the major key I know in the Angels Scherzo in the Mahler 8th Symphony. Okay, it's in E flat, and there's a very cool but quick F flat major chord, like so. Here it is. That's almost a Neapolitan, but it's not. Of course, all the students went out, and next week everybody brought in the same example. Like, what are you going to do? Around this same time, I had discovered the symphonies of a rather eccentric Swedish composer named Franz Berwald. You may know of him. He's terrific. You should look at his music. His 1845 work, Symphony Singuliere. Its slow movement begins in a clear G major, all right? But immediately it moves to the A flat chord, the Neapolitan, like so. What? Where did that come from? Anyway, here's another one. As we saw in our episode on the Beethoven First Symphony, his Whirlwind Scherzo in C major uses the Neapolitan D flat in quick alternation with the non-Neapolitan D natural. Okay? And the swinging triple rhythm almost guarantees that he was inspired by the Mozart piano concerto that we heard. That one. Beethoven does this. Here's what it sounds like with the full orchestra. It goes by so quickly, but it's still, the effect is so startling. So, there you have it, the Neapolitan chord. And there are many more fascinating aspects to harmony and its role in music that await you as we continue to explore.